So I have a question for you. Will you be ready when your boss comes to you and hits you with one of these?
Hey Jim, can I get a
Hi.
Hi. I need a rundown of your clients. Can you get that to me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
When did you need that rundown by?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
Just get it right.
Yeah, gotcha. Of course. I'm gonna dive in to the rundown. I'll be exhausted because it's like a triathlon.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Foreman. I'm John Green and welcome to my discussion. I want to start by saying thank you for the positive feedback on the first episode. I know there was a little bit of issues with the sound, but hopefully this one goes a little bit better. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Microsoft Excel. Now when it comes to Microsoft Excel, all the functions that we're going to go over can basically be used in some free versions that are not paid for, things like OpenOffice or Google Sheets. But for our examples today and all the ones that I'm going to go over in the future are going to be based off of Microsoft Excel. Now I use Microsoft Excel a lot. I use it to do all of my reporting. If I have to make any kind of forms, there's been times when I use it to lay out an area. So in today's episode, we're going to go over a few of the basics of Microsoft Excel, and I'm going to kind of speed through some of the things that you can do in Microsoft Excel. We're going to be able to do things like maybe make a digital layout of your shop. Maybe we need to make a accountability training checklist for your shop. And maybe even have things like, let's make our first tracker. So this video is going to be about, again, a little bit of the basics of the Excel, some of the basic things that you can do, how to modify a cell, the difference between rows and columns. Then I'm going to speed through creating those documents that I just showed you. Now I'll put together a video that kind of slows it down and kind of gives you a little bit more step-by-step of how to create those exactly. Obviously you're not going to use the same examples that I'm going to use, but you can take a lot of what I'm going to show you, implement them into your own shop, your facility, your team, your own personal tracking. So as we look at our windows, we have our different icons that we can switch from. Looking at home, insert, page layout, formulas, these are all different tabs that you can work with. In the home tab, you can see we can type in these individual boxes known as cells. And as we continue to type, you can see that we can hit enter, move down a cell, we can hit left and right, move to the left and the right between different cells. Now we can type all this stuff out and that takes a little bit of time, but what we can do is we can cheat code it by hitting this little box in the bottom right corner. We can actually drag down anything that's going to go ahead and continue one way or the other, whether we drag it down in rows or in columns itself. As you can see, it went type 1, type 2, type 3, and automatically assume what you're going to write as opposed to doing it individually. Now we can do the same thing with things like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If we start with just only Monday, we drag that over. You can see it automatically predicts that you want Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, if we try to put our numbers in ascending order, if we do just the 13 and drag it over, it's going to copy that one cell because it doesn't see an actual pattern. But when we highlight 12 and 13 and drag those over, it sees that we're just adding one each time. And as a result, you see the numbers count up. Again, if we do the same thing going down, we can also use that same method in order to drag the numbers down as we need to. Similar to how we did the days of the week, we can also do the same thing with the months or the days of the month. So we can see we have March 1st, we drag that over, March 2nd, 3rd now appears. So that little box in the corner is actually a really good tool and a really good use of your is a really good tool that can help you streamline your whole process. And here's your reminder, put on your safety glasses. So now we can go ahead and we can do a different layout. We can look at a little bit more practical application where we add Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3. We use our same cheat code in order to streamline and move that over. Now in the next row we'll go ahead and do the same thing but for Advisor 1, Advisor 2. Then we use that little box in the bottom right, highlight both, drag it over. It's going to pre-fill everything else. And as you can see, that's a much more efficient use of your time. So let's add some downward columns as well. So let's say, I don't know, let's just say we have the different days of the week. Cheat code, drag it down. And then we're going to say on Monday, these are just some hours. We're going to go ahead and say the amount of hours that everyone worked. Again, this is just to show how data can be set up and then input it into the system. So we're going to go ahead and cheat code this a little bit and copy paste, move some cells over. Maybe we can use it, drag it down. And actually, this is kind of interesting if you look at it. Again, looking for the pattern, you see we did 5, 7, ascending, and as you can look, everything just kind of finds its own pattern, adds 3, adds 1, adds 2, depending on what kind of cell you have. So let's talk a little bit about formatting, making it look a little pretty. So say we type something in, you ran out of room, and as you can see, cells get cut off by other cells. And especially if we carry it over, all the cells now are cut off. So what we can do, a little trick, is if you click on this right side of each row and column, we'll go ahead and pre-fill those. And as you can see, if you highlight multiple rows, you can now just do it with all of them, and it can actually increase the size so that you can see Technician 1, Technician 2 now showing everything. So I like to adjust my border in A to be the same size as what my 1 is, or about approximately the same size, so I have some room to work in case I need to add cells. Just something that I do, you don't have to do it. Just helps the grid clean up a little bit better for me. Now we're going to go to this area right here. You can see we have a drop down, and we can actually add things like borders. So maybe we add borders individually. We can add some dark borders around certain areas that we want to highlight. And right here we can get rid of this little splice in here by hitting the merge and center. Now we have that little middle line removed, and we can change the color. So we can highlight whatever we want to change the color of, go up to the color sign, and now we can change the different kind of colors that we wanted to use. We can also change the letter font color. But obviously you want to make sure it makes sense. You put black on black, you can't read anything, so you have to change it to something that's more easily readable. Sometimes when you change the different rows and columns, it makes it a little bit easier for people to kind of read and not get confused, especially if you have a very long row going per section. And there you go. That's how you can make a little bit of a basic formatting of your cells. So now I'm going to go ahead and speed run the rest of this just so you can kind of see. Again, I'll have a video that's going to be published that's going to show how to make each of these individually, so you can use it and adapt it however you need. But just using a lot of those basic concepts that you just learned, you can see how I'm able to quickly, in this case scenario, you can actually make a map layout of the entire shop. This is just a made-up shop, but you can make it work to your own, however you want it to actually work out. So you can see we had a foreman office, a tool room, parts, a tire area. We're going to add some guys into the shop. These are probably real people, so I won't get too concerned about that. Have an entrance, have a service drive, and then print that off. There you go. The next one's going to be, making a basic training list, right? So we can adjust the size of the headers. We can add different lines, columns, format the cells as always, add our participants, add a little section for the guys to sign off on the sign-off sheet, format the cells, add some lines to sign on, maybe even make a checkbox so whether or not they were present. Just like that, that one's done. Now for this last example, this is actually, we're going to make a tracker for technicians and how many hours they flag, and we're actually going to use some functions in this one where they're going to automatically add the cells together, do a little bit of computations, and that should help us actually get some usable data so we can actually track our team, track ourselves, and how well and effective everyone's making hours, flagging hours. And again, really, the sky's the limit as far as what you want to use this for. It doesn't have to be just for technicians. Maybe you're doing something for your own household. Maybe you're making your own budget. You can use things to automatically add the cells together. See how much you're spending in a certain category. If you're working in an accounting office, or you're just trying to organize something, maybe for the loaner car manager or something like that. There's all things that you can do. You can calculate how many days out on average cars are out on loan. Per advisor, all really whatever you need. So you can see here I'm adding some extra computations in order to come up with the averages of the shop, how far off they're tracking from their goal. Format the cells to show, hey, if they're this far off from their goal, it's going to show gold or green. If they're outside the goal, they're going to hit red. A little bit of shop totals, do some formatting to make it look nice and easily read. And there you go, nice and formatted. Ready to print, ready to use. Well, that concludes today's episode. Again, if you like what you saw, just leave a like. If you got anything that you want to bring up or any questions about what we've talked over today, go ahead and give me leave a message in the comment section below. Hit subscribe if you want to see more of these kind of videos. And as always, provide excellent customer service, refine your craft, and always be better today than you were yesterday. Peace.